We are live, day 441. Today, we're going to be adding to our comparable sales list. Now, if you remember correctly, right, what we've been doing in this market in Birmingham is we've been building out our comparable sold list over the last 12 months by zip code, bed bath count, square footage, price, date sold, whether they have a garage, basement, etc., lot sizes, and what community they're in, along with what conditions of the home are in. Now, the reason I did this is because I want to understand exactly what's happening in the market beforehand and today. Now that I've exhausted all my lists of, let's say we're doing 35218, right? I've been finding all these properties that have been sold, but now I'm tracking properties that are coming onto the market and what are they coming on the market for, especially on a dollar per square foot perspective. Today, I've been filtered on Redfin. Let's do 4 bedroom plus, single family homes only, and properties that have been on Redfin for less than 3 days. And the reason I'm doing this is because I'm keeping track of what properties are coming on for. Now, this property it worries me a little bit because it's being listed for 110 grand at 1509 square foot. That's really low. I've been seeing properties probably about 130, 140, and you probably really want something around 130, 140 as an ARV to make most of the deals I've been looking at this market pencil. So 110 concerns me because of the fact that it's such a low ARV, which means that you probably have to buy properties at a steeper discount or do your renovations for a lot cheaper, right? Your all in cash needs to be a lot lower. And why is that? The reason you want ARV to be higher is because of the BRRRR strategy, which stands for buy, rehab, rent, refinance, and repeat. And the reason we're doing this is because let's say you have let's say use an example. If you have a property that you bought for $20,000 and you are able to make that property worth 100 grand after spending $50,000 in a rehab, you are all in at $70,000, but now you're able to make the property worth 100 grand. That delta of $70,000 investment creating $30,000 of equity or forced value now allows you to go get a loan. Let's say you're able to get a debt service coverage ratio loan, right? When you have a debt service coverage ratio loan, you can borrow up to 70% of the home's value. In that scenario, guess what happens? You can now go get a loan out for $70,000, which in essence, you're getting it all back out as loan proceeds. So you're taking back out the original $70,000 of cash that you invested. And now you're able to rinse and repeat. Now you're able to go buy another property using the same $70,000 you used to purchase the first property, but now you rinse and repeat. And that's why this strategy is so scalable and so attractive to so many people. It's because you're able to use the same amount of money and do it all over. Now, why is this important? Actually, now why is this important? Because the alternative is you have to go and save up all that money from your full-time job for a 20% down payment. And using that same 20% down payment, you use that to buy one property, and then you have to try to figure out. Say hi. Say hi. Good job. Way to say hi, Slay. You save up for that 20%, buy that property, and now you hope that property cash flows. And now you have to wait to save up money from your full-time job again to do another 20% down payment on a second property. And that could take a really long time when you're saving up just a little bit of money every single time to buy another property. That's why it's so slow traditionally. And that's why the BRRRR strategy is a lot more scalable because you're able to use the same 70 grand, the same pile of cash you had, and use it to buy another property. So obviously what happens in this scenario is guess what? What's it dependent on? It's dependent on whether or not you get your ARV correct. And in order for you to get ARV correct, I want to show you a few things. This is a 10-year treasury bond yield. And how 30-year mortgage interest rates work is that they follow a correlation with a 10-year yield. As it goes up and down, 30-year mortgage interest rates tend to go up and down. But there's also this thing called the spread. Typically in the past, you've seen the spread between 10-year yield and 30-year mortgage rates range between 1.5% to 2%. It's gone as high as 3%. So as that spread narrowed, it helped drive interest rates down. But then now you see all these fluctuations, right? You saw a low of about 3.7-ish in September, October, but now this has gone back up. So as your interest rates go up, your purchase price goes back down. All right. So that's why you got to stay on top of what are properties coming on the market for nowadays, because that will tell you what the top market is willing to tolerate and what they're willing to pay in terms of this property. So now I'm writing down all these details, right? This is the 4-bed, 2-bath. So I like 2-bath homes because they rent out a lot easier when you have a second toilet. This property was built in 1930. This property is being listed for 110. So your dollar per square foot perspective is going to be equals to $73 a square foot. And that's really low, in my opinion. Really low. And for this property, you can see that the interior looks renovated, right? They have new flooring. Looks like the bathroom's renovated. I don't know what's going on with this electric panel. Did they do an electric panel upgrade? Property partially renovated to include new electrical, updated plumbing. You still need an HVAC, a water heater, and your finishing touches. Okay, so that's what it still needs. Still needs HVAC. I'm just going to copy this because this commentary is very important because I need to understand just exactly what has been renovated. All right, modern bathrooms, modern kitchen, and bathrooms. So now I know what's new and what's still needed for the $7 per square foot, because otherwise I might be mistaken. And I think that the ARV is a little bit too low. This makes sense. It's 110 because on a home that I typically would renovate in this area, I would already have the new HVAC, the new water heater, because it needs to be rentable, first of all, foremost. And this property is in the neighborhood of Ensley. I just click on a map and I zoom out and I write down the neighborhood that's closest to, and this is Ensley, north of 269. Ensley, north of 269, Route 269. Great. So now this is listed today, 12/14/24. This was how much square foot lot size? 4356. 4356. There is no garage, no basement, no HOA. Great. So now that I got all these properties written down, what I'm going to do next is I'm going to go and analyze this deal now, because now I've got all the details, right? Next time I see another property, let's say it's a 3-bedroom, 1,500 square feet, I'm going to look at this property and see what it's sold for. Because when this property sells, that will most likely determine what my ARV is going to be, right? Okay. All right. So now what I'm going to do next is I'm going to check on the numbers for this deal. So this property is 110 grand. And I want to underwrite this deal just to understand what's going on. So now this property, I'll set aside $1,500 for the roof, right? $5 for some landscaping, row 46. I don't need to paint the place anymore. I don't need to do any flooring work. It looks all good. I do need to put in HVAC. So let's put in at least an air conditioner unit. Let's call it a heater. So right there. And then I need a water heater, $2,500. And then some finishing touches. I don't know what finishing touches mean, to be honest with you. So I'm just going to put in 2 extra toilets for high pressure flush toilets. And I'll just do a little bit of money for finishing touches. So I'm going to assume I need some sinks, faucets, vanity. Just adding a little bit of money here. So this gives me a total rehab of around 17 grand. Easy enough. Okay. Now, for my rent, I'm going to need to go to affordablehousing.com. I'm going to go to the owner section, to the market rent estimator. That's going to bring me to this table right here. I mean, this website right here. And I'm going to put in the address and the bedroom count of 4 bedrooms. And I can see right here that the average rent is $1,300 roughly for 25 units within a 2-mile radius, $1,300. Okay, now I'm going to get my property tax rates. It says the property tax is 42. That seems a little low, so I'm going to bump it up to $60 at least. I don't really see. I mean, obviously verify with your county assessor records first, double check, but $60 seems a little low. All right, I'm going to do monthly insurance is goes 85 times 1.2. Okay, that's 102. All right. Now that you got that 102, we got 10% for my maintenance, 10% for property management, 5% for vacancy. And now, using a 25% down payment on this property, my down payment is going to equal to my B4, my asking price, multiplied by my down payment percentage of 25%. I got 2.5% for the holding costs, 17 grand for renovations. And for this property, if I finance this property using B4 minus my down payment, I'll be financing 82.5K at 7.5% interest rate. All right. Now, I really want to call out that you got to make sure you have 10% set aside for maintenance, right? You know that even though you're doing a big renovation right now or putting a new HVAC, at some point in time, you're going to have to replace that roof. And if you didn't put aside 130 bucks every single month for 100 months, you would be down 13 grand if you get a $13,000 repair bill to replace your roof at that point. And all the extra $130 that you thought you were making every month just went down the drain. But in reality, you should have calculated that in the first place. You should have been setting aside money every single month for that repair that you knew was coming down the road. So beware, be careful. The $130 is going to be really important because these are real expenses and you can't ignore them. You know you're going to have to do that. All right, so now if you rent it out as a 4 bedroom for 1,300 bucks, you will cash with $236 a month on this property. That's a 6% return. So you bought this property for 110 with a $17,000 rehab, right? 25% down, 7.5% interest rate. Now let's say you keep the rent at 1,300 and your target return was 10%. Now I'm not saying that 10% is the magic number. That's the number you got to reach for it to be a deal. It's not investment advice. We're not soliciting any investments on this call. Simply showing y'all how to mess with the levers or the numbers on a spreadsheet to determine what's going to meet your criteria. You're going to have to talk to your own investment professionals, right? Because some people don't care about cash flow overrun. They might just buy $1 million property and they might be speculating that if it goes up by 5% every single year, I mean, that's $50,000 in appreciation. They don't care about 200 bucks of cash flow a month, right? It's a different strategy. And you might diversify, you might have different parts of your portfolio that's focused on a different strategy. It all works, it all comes together. So now, if you have 100 grand of your purchase price, now goes up to 7.8. If you go to 90 grand, now all of a sudden you're at 10%, right? 9.8, that rounds up. So in order for this to be a deal, assuming everything else stayed constant with a $17,000 rehab, now all of a sudden it's a deal only at 9.8% because you're now getting cash flow 341 a month. All right. So now let's do one more scenario. Let's say you're paying real close attention to interest rates and it goes down to 6.5, from 7.5 to 6%. You see that the cash and cash return number just jumped really high? All right, so that gives us a little bit more room. So interest rates drop by 1.5 points, right? Because you're following the 10-year treasury yield, you're smarter than other people, you're paying attention. Now all of a sudden, you might be willing to pay $99,000 instead of 90. Because at $99,000, you're at 10% return again, 368 of cash flow a month, assuming your rent is still at 1,300, and assuming everything else stays the same, including your rehab, but your interest rates drop 1 whole point. And that's a scenario that you really want to walk through. You want to understand what is going to cause you to say this is a deal, quote unquote, for yourself, because you only understand your own execution risk the best. If you're using a contractor for the first time and you have no idea whether or not they're going to perform, execution risk involves whether or not you believe that the contractor is going to show up on time and do what he or she said they were going to do. What are the chances of the Section 8 inspection failing? And if it fails, do you have the ability to go and get it rescheduled as soon as possible after you get the renovation fixed? All these things matter and they add quickly to your holding costs, your timeline, and what if your tenant trashes your home down the road, right? And causes your repairs to be higher than 10%. So be really aware that whatever return that you're seeking, that's worth your time, your energy, and the stress. All right. Hopefully this was helpful, everybody. If you guys want a copy of the spreadsheet, right? What we did today was we went ahead and we showed you how to analyze and add to a list of comparable sale properties, right? Getting down all the factors so that you can use it in the future. We then analyze the deal so that you can get some practice understanding how to use the spreadsheet, how you mechanically and tactically put the numbers in place so that you can analyze the deal properly. All right, you guys want to copy the spreadsheet, just go to affordablehousing.io, not .com. Click on the Get Deal Analysis tool, plug in your name, your email, your phone number. That's the fastest way for you to get a copy of the spreadsheet. And from that point onwards, you can get a copy of the spreadsheet. I didn't make the spreadsheet from scratch. I got it from a few other folks. I modified it, tweaked it so that I can analyze deals a lot faster. And I hope this is helpful for you. I hope you copy my homework today. You analyze the same deal I analyzed today, same property on the market, using the same spreadsheet, and put it on your own YouTube channel. Because at some point in time, someone's going to ask you, hey, why do you think this is a deal? And you can say, I know that this is a deal because I've been looking at properties for the past 441 days. Might that give you some confidence that you know what you're doing? I certainly hope so. All right. I hope you all have an amazing Saturday. Spend some quality time with your family and friends today because that's what life is all about. Have a good one, everybody. I'll see you all tomorrow for day 442.